140 miles of new bike and walking paths just got approved across the entire San Gabriel Valley. The Gold Line just locked in $60 million in a design contract to push it all the way to Claremont. A $298 million freeway rebuild is tearing up the 605 right now. And if you drove it this weekend, you already know. The Back to the Future Mall might become a data center, and a new state law kicks in July 1st that overrides your city zoning and allows buildings up to 9 stories near every single Gold Line station. The SUV is about to look completely different. Let's dive into it. What's up everyone? I'm Calvin Chen. I cover real estate, development, and community news here in the San Gabriel Valley. If you live here, if you own property here, or if you're thinking about buying here, this video is gonna go over and break down 8 major infrastructure changes happening right now. And this will directly affect property values, your commute, and what your neighborhood looks like in the next 5 years. So let's get into it. All right, so let's start with the big one that most people haven't even heard about, the San Gabriel Valley Greenway network. This is a plan to transform storm channels, washes, creeks across the entire SGV into 140 miles of protected bike and pedestrian paths. We're talking about the Big Dalton Wash, running 16 miles from the Angeles National Forest down through Glendora, Baldwin Park, and Nomani. The Eden Wash through Pasadena and Temple City. San Jose Creek cutting 24 miles through San Dimas, Diamond Bar, Pomona, and Hacienda Heights. These are all flood channels and that already have the service roads next to them. The plan is to turn those into Class 1 multi-use paths. Now here's why this matters for real estate. Study after study shows that properties within a quarter mile of protected greenway see value increases. We're not talking about a single bike path. This is a connected network that could link 130 different schools to safe walking, to biking routes, and give the SUV something it's never had, a regional trail system like what the West Side has with the beach paths. Supporters say this is a generational investment in quality of life, more walkable, more bikeable, more livable. But the critics right now are saying that the timeline is vague and funding isn't fully locked in yet. The environmental report is done, but building these paths city by city is a whole different challenge. So what do you think about the SUV waterway paths? Would you actually use them? Let me know in the comments below. All right, so next, let's talk about the Gold Line, or as Metro officially calls it now, the A Line. On September 19th, 2025, 4 new stations officially opened: Glendora, San Dimas, Laverne, and Pomona. That was a $1.5 billion project, 9 miles of new track, and it brought passenger rails back to parts of the SUV for the first time since 1951. But here's what happened next. On January 29th, 2026, the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority awarded a $60 million 6-year contract to Parson Transportation Group for the design and engineering of the next segment, Pomona to Claremont. That's 2.3 miles. And Metro has committed $798 million total to get it done. Now the drama is that the original plan was actually to go all the way from Pomona to Montclair. That's another 3.2 miles through LA and San Bernardino counties. But last December, the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority pulled it. They pulled all the funds and they redirected the money somewhere else. So Claremont becomes the end of the line, at least for now. And stick around because the next segment is gonna blow your mind. A new state law that kicks in July 1st is about to change what will be built near every single one of these stations. So here's the real estate angle on this. If you already own property near any of these stations, Glendora, San Dimas, Laverne, Pomona, you're sitting on a transit premium that didn't exist 6 months ago. And with what I'm about to tell you next about SB 79, that premium could get a whole lot bigger. So how do you think the Gold Line has changed your neighborhood so far? Have you even noticed? Have you taken the line? Let me know in the comments below. All right, so this one I've been waiting to talk about. Senate Bill 79, signed by Governor Newsom on October 10th, 2025, takes effect in July 1st of this year. That's about 2 to 3 months from today as I'm filming this. Here's what it does in plain English. If you own a property within a half a mile of a qualifying transit stop, and every Gold Line station qualifies, the state is overriding your city's zoning. Developers can build housing up to 95 feet tall. That's roughly 8 to 9 stories. They can build at densities of up to 160 units per acre. And this applies to any site zoned residential, mixed use, or commercial. So think about that for a second. Every Gold Line station from Pasadena to Pomona and eventually Claremont now has a half-mile zone around it where the state says you can build. And you can build significantly taller and denser than what your city currently allows. And supporters say this is exactly what California needs. We have a housing crisis, it's no secret. And transit stations should have housing near them, period. Critics, including a lot of SUV homeowners, worry about the neighborhood character, parking, and whether the infrastructure can actually handle this density. Both sides have valid points, but the law is signed and the clock is ticking. So if you own a property near a Gold Line station, this directly affects your land value. Whether that's up or down depends on the specific situation. By the way, if you're watching this and thinking, how does the SB 79 affect my specific property? That's literally what my team and I help people figure out every single week. Reach out to us. All our contact information is in the description below. Now let's talk about your commute. All right, if you've driven the 605 anytime in the last year and wonder why there are lanes closed every single weekend, this is why. The Super 605 Freeway Enhancement Project is a $298 million overhaul of the entire 605 corridor from Long Beach all the way up to the San Gabriel Valley, where it ends near Duarte and Azusa. It's funded mostly by the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, $273 million from the feds. The project is divided into 3 segments. Segment 1 and 2, from Long Beach up to the 210 terminus, are on the track to finish by fall of 2026. The big one, segment 3, from Santa Fe Springs to the I-10, that's $201 million piece with 93 lane miles. That segment wraps up in early 2030. Right now, literally as I'm filming this, Caltrans is doing 55-hour weekend lane closures on the 605. This is your life for the rest of 2026. But when it's done, this pavement lasts 40 years. So yes, it is painful now, and I drive this every day, but no, it won't last forever. So let me know, are you taking PEC as a detour right now? Or what are your thoughts on getting around this? Drop it down in the comments below and we can help each other out. Okay, so now we get to the story everyone's been talking about, the Puente Hills Mall. If you grew up in the SUV, you probably went here. And now it might become a data center. Here's the timeline. The mall sold in August of 2024, plans submitted to the City of Industry in January of 2026. The outline tearing down the entire mall and replacing it with 2 warehouses, a 10 megawatt data center, and a bus transit station. The city council already voted unanimously to change the zoning to allow battery energy storage systems at the site. So obviously with the Monterey Park situation, the community response has been intense. Residents from Hacienda Heights, La Puente, Avocado Heights, and surrounding communities have packed City of Industry council meetings. They're worried about the noise, the water usage, the energy costs, and of course, the environmental hazards. And here's the complication. City of Industry has fewer than 300 residents who can actually vote. So surrounding communities that will be most affected almost have no political voice in this decision. So there have been a few groups that have been fighting this, like the SUV Progressive Action, the Avocado Heights Vaqueros, and activists who successfully push a data center moratorium in Monterey Park. They're using that as their blueprint. So now here's the tension. The City of Industry's own assistant city manager said data centers don't really bring jobs, but the market is pushing these projects because data centers need power and Southern California has power infrastructure. So the question is, should the SUV's last big mall site become a tech facility, or should it be something that serves the community? What would you want to see built on this 75-acre site? Let me know in the comments below. And now for the contrast that almost writes itself. While one, the Puente Hills site might become a dinner center, the other Puente Hills site, the former landfill, which was the largest in the entire country, is becoming a 142-acre regional park. The Puente Hills landfill operated from 1957 to 2013. It's 1,300 acres, it rises 500 feet, and sits right between the 60 and 605 freeways. LA County Parks and Sanitation Districts have been working on transforming it since 2016, and the first 142 acres are expected to open next year in 2027. We're talking multi-use trails, fitness stairs, an environmental justice center, habitat restoration, and views from the top of Nike Hill. And you should be able to see the ocean on a clear day. This will be LA County's first new regional park in over 30 years. And people are now calling it the Griffith Park of the San Gabriel Valley. The irony is powerful on this one. One Puente Hills site could become a data center, Other is bringing a park to one of the most park poor areas in LA County. All right, so this is the last big story, and it really ties everything together. It's about LA Metro, and they've set aside $635 million to improve transit across the entire SGV over the next 10 years. Here's how we got here. Metro looked at extending that Gold Line along the 60 freeway, but they decided that that wasn't going to work. And instead, they did a deep study of every transit gap across all 31 SGV cities. What they found was that the SGV needs a way better way for bus service. Better ways to get from and to train stations and real options for people who don't drive. They're trying to get some of these projects up and running before the 2028 Olympics. And most of that money is going to the communities that need it most. Places like Azusa, Pomona, Covina, Glendora, Laverne, Claremont, and San Dimas. So let me connect the dots. The Greenway gives us 140 miles of new paths. The Gold Line is pushing to Claremont with nearly $1 billion behind it. SB 79 on top of that is going to allow 9-story buildings near every single transit station. The 605 is getting a $298 million facelift. The Puente Hills Mall could become a data center, or maybe the community stops it. A former landfill is becoming SGV's first real regional park. All this plus $635 million in transit funding over the next decade. It's the SGV going through the biggest wave of change in its history, and the decisions made right now will shape what it's like to live here for the next 20 years. So whether you're planning to buy in the next 6 months or you already own and want to know how this affects your property value, my team and I break this down for our clients every single week. We'd love to be your real estate resource of choice here in the San Gabriel Valley. All our contact information is down in the description below. So whether it's next week or next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My name is Calvin Chen with Real Brokerage Technologies, and I'll see you on the next one.